Hello and welcome to today's session. We are still exploring the IELTS test, and today we'll be introducing the third skill that is tested in the IELTS test, which is the writing skill. I know I've talked about the first skill, which is the listening skill. I've done the second skill, which is the reading skill. And today I'm introducing the third skill in the IELTS test, which is tested, and that is the writing skill. So we are going to look at what is tested or in the or understanding the writing skill, what is tested in the writing skill, the skills that are tested, and how the marking is done. So these are the three things that we'll be looking at today in this section. So as usual, if you are planning or preparing for your, either to start your IELTS journey, you need to get your pen and your paper and take notes. All right, so as I share my screen here, all right, so what is, all right, here you go. Okay, hope you can see my screen. All right, so the IELTS writing skill, which is now the writing test. Okay, it has two tasks. Okay, whether you're doing the IELTS academic or you're doing IELTS general training, the IELTS writing test has two tasks. Sorry. All right. And what you need to understand, this is one of the skills where the test takers who are doing the IELTS academic do a different test, while those who are doing the IELTS general training do their own separate or different tests. So just like I mentioned in one of my videos, the difference in between IELTS academic and IELTS general training, it only involves the two tasks or skills, sorry, which is the IELTS reading skill and IELTS writing skill. These two skills, this is where now the two different groups do their own, different tests. But when it comes to the IELTS listening and the IELTS speaking skills, they do the same. They do one and the same paper. So what is the difference between the two when it comes to the writing skill? All right. Task one, like I've mentioned, the writing test, it has two tasks that you are required to do. All right. So task one, in the academic IELTS academic test, writing test, task one, you are provided with information. Okay, you're given information which usually comes in form of either a graph, a table which has some data or information. It could be a chart, it could be a diagram, all right, that has information. And you are asked to describe whatever it is that you are able to see. If, for example, you are given a graph, all right, and there is some data in this graph, so you are asked to describe what you are able to see. Okay, using your own words, using your own words, describe, but using the data, only the data that is given, be it a table, be it a graph, be it a chart, all right, be it a diagram. A diagram could be, for example, a process. Maybe a manufacturing process, or maybe you are given a diagram indicating how maybe some juice is produced, production of some type of a juice. So you are supposed now to describe what you see, the processes, right from the beginning to the end. So in the writing task one of the academic test, you are given information in form of a graph, or a table, or a chart, or a graph, oh sorry, a diagram, a map, and then you are asked to describe whatever you are seeing or you are able to see in whatever diagram or a chart or any of those that you are given, using your own words. Now you are writing this in form of paragraphs. All right, so this is all that you are supposed to do in the writing task one of the academic writing, IELTS writing test. All right, and let's look at task one of the IELTS general training. Okay, general training test. Here, what happens? You are presented with a situation, all right, and then you are asked to write a letter. In fact, the task one of the IELTS general training writing test, it's all about writing a letter. So you are given a situation, you are presented with a situation, and you are asked now to write a letter. The situation is just something like anything that you might encounter in everyday situation, okay, in everyday life, and you're asked to write. Now, this is what happens. The information or whichever situation that you are presented, you may be either required to write either a letter, using the different styles of letter writing. So you could either be asked to write a formal letter, depending on the situation that has been presented to you. So it could be requiring you to write a formal letter, a neutral or semi-formal letter, all right, or an informal or personal letter. So these are the three types of letters that you might be asked to write any one of the two, one of the three. It could be either a personal letter or an informal letter, or a semi-formal letter or a formal letter. So this is all about task one of the IELTS general training test. Academic, you are describing information that you've been given, or data that you've been given in form of a graph, a chart, a diagram, a table, and you are supposed to write describe it in form of paragraphs using your own words. All right. And while in the general training, you are supposed to write a letter, either a personal letter, uh, you know, uh, uh, that which is an informal letter, a semi-formal letter, or a formal letter. So that is task one of the writing of the IELTS writing test. Let's look at task two. Task two, it is actually an essay. Task two, whether you are doing IELTS academic or you are doing IELTS general training, you are both given a topic, okay, and you are required to respond to it in form of an essay. So you write either an essay where you're supposed to give your point of view, or you give an argument, or you solve a problem. You are presented with a problem and you are required to give solutions. So depending, so what you're supposed to do during your preparation time, you're supposed to practice on all the types of essays. Practice on, arguments, practice on point of view type of essays, practice on problem, solution type of essays, and all that. So, like I said, whether you are doing IELTS academic or general training, in the IELTS writing task 2, you are both required to do or write an essay. The only difference is the topics that come in the IELTS academic, they are more study related. That is the only difference. While those who are doing the IELTS general training, the topics are more of a general interest. So that is the only difference. You are all doing writing an essay, but the topics, the context is different. One, the academic IELTS, the topics are more study related for people or individuals entering undergraduate or postgraduate studies, or people who are seeking professional registration in any of the English speaking countries. While for those who are doing general training, the topics, the essay topics are more of a general interest. So that is the only difference between the two essays. But all of you, like whether both IELTS academic and general training, you are writing essays in the task 2 of the IELTS writing test. All right. So the duration, it's 1 hour. You have 60 minutes to write, to finish both your first and second tasks. And by nature, task 1 is shorter. Like you are required to write minimum of 150 words, a minimum of 150 words. So in the first task, whether you are writing a letter or you are describing information that you've been given, the minimum you are given the word limit of minimum 150 words. While in task 2, where you're supposed to write an essay, the minimum number of words is 250. So the duration for both the two tasks is 1 hour, which is 60 minutes. So, and it's always recommended that you try as much as possible and spend 20 minutes in task 1, and the rest of the time, which is 40 minutes, you spend it in writing your essay. And one thing that you need to understand or to know is that task 2, actually, it carries more, like double, the points compared to task 1. So task 2 contributes twice as much to the final writing score as task 1. So do not waste a lot of time in task 1. The maximum recommended time that you can spend in writing task 1 is up to 20 minutes. So put as much time in task 2, because that is what carries twice, as much points to the final, your final overall points in the writing, IELTS writing test. So that is all about the duration. And then the skills tested. The skills tested in the IELTS writing test. One, you are, whatever it is, the response that you are giving, whether it's task 1 or task 2, how relevant you are, okay? Your ability to produce a response that is relevant. Very important. Your ability to produce a response that is relevant to the topic. All right. Number two, your ability to organize ideas skillfully. Number two, that is the second skill that is tested in the IELTS writing test. Your ability to organize ideas. Number three, your range of vocabulary. Your range of vocabulary, that is the third skill that is tested in the IELTS writing test. And lastly, your grammar, of course, your grammatical structures and accuracy. Those are the four skills that are tested in the IELTS writing test, whether you are doing academic or general training. Your ability to respond relevantly, that is one. Your ability to organize ideas, that is number two. Your range of vocabulary, that is number three. And lastly, your grammar. Your grammar is also a skill that is tested in the IELTS writing test. And lastly, how is the marking done? How is the marking done in the IELTS writing test? This it's quite different. It's a complete shift from how the marking is done in the IELTS listening and IELTS reading tests. So the marking of the IELTS writing test, okay, there are four things that they look at when they are marking the IELTS your writing test. Number one, task achievement or task response, depending on, either academic or general training. In general training or in academic, IELTS academic, they test your task uh, response, okay? Your ability to respond relevantly. Just like I mentioned, basically that is what it means, your relevance. Are you up to the point? Have you captured all the information that was requested? So this is basically what it means, task achievement or task response. It is your ability to respond relevantly and capture all the information that was required or all the information that is asked in the topic that you've been given. Whether it's the data that you are writing, describing, whether it is the letter that you are writing, or whether it is the essay that you are writing. There are those specific, there is some specific information that is asked. Okay, so have you captured all the information that was asked? So this is how, this is what now is called assessment of the task, if you've achieved or if you've achieved the task response criteria, or if you've achieved the task achievement criteria. All right. The second criteria is coherence and cohesion. Your ability to, write a smooth flow, as if it's an essay, how smoothly or how well organized is your essay. All right. So your ability to write a well organized essay that brings about, coherence and cohesion. So this is the second criteria that is marked during the, I mean, in the second criteria that is assessed in the marking of the IELTS writing test. All right, coherence and cohesion, your ability to write or connect ideas to bring about a smooth flow. of the ideas that you are trying to bring or to write down. All right. Number 3, lexical resource. Lexical resource. This is a vocabulary. Okay, your wide range of vocabulary. How well are you using your vocabulary? Are you just putting or bringing in words that are so that making even your essay or whatever it is or report you are writing irrelevant? So the correct use choice first, choice of vocabulary, and how you are using your vocabulary. Choice is one thing, and how you are using it is another thing. So vocabulary is the third skill or criteria, is the third assessment criteria in marking the IELTS writing test. And lastly, the grammar, of course. Grammar, how the sentence, your sentence structure, your the use of simple, compound, and complex sentences. So this is where now it comes to play. And your use of punctuations. So this is where, unfortunately, now there is no that ride of just writing your answers. Remember, in listening and reading, you had all the freedom of writing your answers using all capital letters. Unfortunately, when it comes now to the writing skill, your grammar is tested. So your grammar is tested. How are you, connecting ideas? Your use of, different kinds of sentence structure, the use of simple sentences, the use of compound and complex sentences, and also punctuations. And Is your essay well punctuated? And also your spellings? Okay, so all this is evaluated under the grammar range and accuracy criteria. So 4 things in the assessment of or marking of the IELTS writing test. The criteria that is used: task achievement. This means your relevance. Are you relevant? Are your ideas relevant to the topic that you are writing on about? Have you captured all the information that is required, that you've been asked to write about? That is one. Number 2, coherence and cohesion. How are you able to write and connect your sentences and your ideas to bring about a good and smooth flow of your points or your ideas? So that is coherence and cohesion. And then lexical resource. This is your use of vocabulary, the range, and of course that is your range of vocabulary, the choice itself, and how you're using this vocabulary. And lastly, your grammar. Okay, so this is basically everything that you need to understand about the IELTS writing test. The IELTS writing test, right? Okay, so that is all for today. I hope to see you again in my next video as we explore more on this skill, this third skill that is tested in the IELTS test, which is the IELTS writing skill. All right.